Hey, welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
If you're gonna dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small.
Well, hey there, my fabulous listener. Welcome to episode 276 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast, and the first one for 2024. Happy New Year, you amazing human. From me and mine to you and yours. I hope that you are having a sensational year so far. If you're listening to this live, it's only been 4 days, so hopefully your year is on track. This is my 6th season of podcasting. That just makes my head spin to think that every week I have turned up and I have produced a podcast for 5 years every single week. And then the other half of me wishes I could be so committed to going to the gym every week. But anyway, we shall move on from there. Thank you, as always, for lending me your ears today. I know there's lots of choices out there, and I really do appreciate you making me one of them, especially this time of the year. And look, if you're a first-time listener, then super welcome to you. I'm so pleased to have you here and excited to have you on the journey. Before I get started, a few little things that we go through most podcasts. So the first one is, don't forget the show notes can be found at all the W's, socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/276. If you haven't listened to last week's episode, which was the last one for 2023, and it was all about being the change that you want to see in the world. If you want the world to change, maybe it's up to you to do your little bit to create the world that you want to create. So if you haven't had a listen to that one, head back to episode 275 when you finished here with me today. And third thing, I promised last thing before we get into today's episode, I wanted to share with you that I have a webinar coming up super soon. It's all about what marketing looks like in 2024. What's new with marketing? What's old with marketing? What should you be doing heading into 2024 with your marketing? And what should you be leaving behind? What are the things that you've been doing maybe last year or maybe 4 years that no longer work and they're no longer serving you, and therefore you shouldn't be doing them as far as your marketing goes? The webinar will be on Thursday, the 18th of January at 1 p.m. for an hour. That is New South Wales time. And yes, it will be recorded. So if you can't attend live, then I'm more than happy to send you a recording. So if you'd like to register for that, you can go to bit.ly/marketing2024 Jen with 2 N's. But of course, you can come to the show notes and find the link there. I just want to assure you, though, this isn't a sell. There is no sell. There is no course leading on from this webinar. I've got nothing for you. Really, I just want to share my knowledge, my marketing knowledge with you via a webinar about what I think the predictions are for 2024 and what I see is trending and what I'm seeing that we really need to change our habits in when it comes to the marketing. So I promise you, no sell, just purely marketing speak for an hour. I really hope I'll see you over there. Now, to be honest, when I sat down to do the first episode of the year, I was kind of a little bit blank. I'm like, what would people want me to say? What would people want to hear at this time of the year? What can I say that is beneficial and it just isn't going to be noisy? Because I feel like everything is so noisy at the moment. So this episode might feel a little bit higgledy-piggledy as you go through it, but I really do hope it's just as valuable as the rest of the ones. So I guess, for the higgledy-piggledy part, I'm kind of jumping around my thought process at this time of the year. And I think the most important thing you can do at this time of the year is rest. Wherever you can, wherever you need, we really just need to have a rest. Now, if you're in retail or e-commerce, I'm so sorry. My best advice for you is to book in rest time as soon as you possibly can, whether that's a weekend away or, booking out all of May after Mother's Day, whatever that looks like to you. I know retail runs on a very different schedule and a very different calendar. To what service-based businesses can sometimes run on at this time of the year. I know one of my best friends who has a retail business. She's just finished Christmas, and of course now she's into back to school. And then when back to school finishes, she might get a little bit of a break before she heads into Easter, and then of course Mother's Day. So yes, just rest where you can. For me, I don't have any clients for a few more weeks. But I am working in the mornings and taking most of the afternoons off because I don't want to push myself. And I don't think we should be pushing ourselves at this time of the year either. For me, it's a great time to be working on my business, not in it. Hence, no clients at this time of the year. And I have to say, and sorry for any of my clients who might be listening to this podcast, but even through all of January, all my clients are in the morning. I've taken, whether I want to take the afternoon off or whether I'll work on my business in the afternoon for January, but it's up to me. So I've made all my client-facing bookings in the morning in January, just so I can, again, have a little bit of a rest when I need one and when I want one. But at the moment, I'm working on my business. I think we work in our business so long and so much during the year. It's a really great time to be sitting back. At the moment, for me, I'm writing down my goals and I'm reflecting back on the ones I had for 2023. Which goals did I hit? Which ones didn't I? Which ones are coming forward with me into 2024? And if I didn't hit them, why didn't I hit them? And I've been doing some tidying up on my desk. Both physical desks, so literally got the garbage bag out and cleaning up. And I've also been doing some electronic cleaning up, such as going through my emails, going through my photos, Canva, documents. Sometimes when you save a document and then you've got no idea what you saved the document as, that just drives me insane. Clearly, I thought that was a really good title at the start, and now I can't find it. So I'm trying to fix up some of those things as well. I'm cleaning up my desk. I'm actually finding some to-do lists from 9 months ago and 6 months ago. And again, I'm looking at that from a marketing point of view and a business point of view as to, well, what was on there that I still need to complete and what's on there that, I didn't do and why didn't I do it? So it's been a really interesting process finding those lists as well. I've been working on my 2024 speaker topics, and although I'm finding it that a little bit harder than what it should be, producing a compelling headline that is attention grabbing, stands out from the crowd, and says what the talk or the keynote is all about is really tough for me just at the moment, and it's really messing with my head. And I keep telling myself to use the KISS method, keep it simple superstar, as in KISS, KISS, keep it simple superstar. It's one of my little mantras, and I'm trying to tell myself that it's a good mantra at this time of the year. So far, I've updated my speaker kit, my media kit, and my speaker contracts for 2024. And I've started adjusting bits of my content on my website and looking at the SEO on key pages that I want to do some improvements on. Are there kind of these things that you need to start doing in your business as well? If you are a speaker or if you would like to be a speaker, have you got a speaker kit? Everyone should just about have a media kit. Does your media kit need updating? Do you need a contract for work that you're doing? If you do contracts with people already, do they need adjusting? Do they say 2023 and now you need to update them all to say 2024? Have your prices gone up and you need to make sure that you're adjusting all of that on contracts and websites and things as well? So what are those things that you need to be doing at this time of the year? I think SEO, that's a pretty big one. It's definitely a place I'm going to be spending a lot of my time in 2024 on. I think keywords are something that are really becoming a lot more required as far as your marketing goes, which is one of the things I will talk about in my marketing for 2024 webinar that I spoke about at the top of this podcast. It's one of the topics that we'll cover. I've also started to create some themes for this podcast, and I've been through all my Facebook groups that I belong to, and look, there was like 270 of them. Oh, goodness me. I've removed myself from loads of loads of Facebook groups, and I've checked out others to see if they're still current. I've looked at their rules, and I've updated my spreadsheet so that I know what days I can promote in these groups, what days I can share a tip or a trick, what days I can support other businesses, etc., etc. That spreadsheet is a really important part of my marketing strategy, and it lives just above my desk on a corkboard along with my goals, my elevator pitch, and my brand color codes. You'd think that I would remember my brand color codes by now, but I just don't seem to be able to lock those into my brain. So they're the things that exist on my cork board at the moment, heading into the first week of 2024. Still lots of working on my business to go, but I'm happy that I'm actually getting somewhere. And next week, I think that I'll start on my social media, look at my insights, and plan a big chunk of content and schedule that big chunk of content. Chunks of content I can plan, for example, are social media tips or marketing tips, testimonial posts. I can gather all those up from 2024 and make new posts about them, speaker posts, join my community posts, promo about the book or about my 9-week marketing transformation program. These are all things that will be useful all through the year. So if I can plan a big chunk of them and I can schedule a big chunk of them, then that, of course, is going to help me with my social media throughout the year. What is there in your business that you can do that for? Like, what are the things that you can plan for, the things that just keep coming up over and over again, such as testimonials? I don't care what business you're in, you need to have testimonials, and you probably have testimonials. So, going into Canva, for instance, and creating, 10, 15 testimonial posts, posting and then scheduling them in once a fortnight. Say you've got 15 once a fortnight, that's 30 weeks of content. And by the time you get to the 30th week, you could just repurpose the one you did in January because no one is really going to remember. So these are the things that you could perhaps help yourself out with and do during this time of the year if you've got time to work on your business. I spoke earlier about my goals. So I finally got around to taking my goals from my goals workbook that we all did back in November, or a certain amount of my community came along and did that workbook with me. And of course, I did it along with them. And so now I've taken them from that to sticky notes that live above my computer desk so that I see them every single day. I've been a little bit metric orientated this year, though, or more metric orientated this year. It just felt like I just needed something a little bit more measurable, which sounds really dumb, doesn't it? Because, of course, your goals should be measurable. But, I had a goal, for instance, I want 25 speaking gigs. So now I've broken that down to actually I want 2 a month. And rather than just saying I want to do more PR articles, now I'm like, okay, I think I've actually got time to do 1 a month. So if I can achieve 1 a month, that will achieve my goal. I feel that my goals, just needed that improving with their measuring. Maybe your goals do too. Maybe that's something that you could look at when you're setting your goals as well. I'd like to mix up this podcast a little bit more as well. So I'm working on the goals for that. It's been 5 years. I really feel I don't want to not do the podcast, but I feel it just needs a bit of a change up. Again, like I said in an earlier episode late last year, you might not notice the changes, but there is going to be changes. It will still be me talking and me having guests and that sort of thing. But one of my biggest goals is to take people from listening to this podcast and bring them deeper into my world, which is, things like join my like-minded business owners Facebook group, reach out and connect on LinkedIn or join my Instagram channel. But they need a strategy behind them. I need to be a little bit more strategic to help that happen from listeners. Because, a couple of thousand people listen to this podcast every single week, and I definitely don't have a couple of thousand people coming into my Facebook group every single week, or even a couple of hundred. So there is a disconnect there, and I need to put a strategy around that. Now, talking about goals, I told you this was higgledy-piggledy. Talking about goals, I always start with the end in mind. It's one of those philosophies I live by in my business. If you have read my latest book, Small Town, Big Impact, you will know that there is a whole chapter in there dedicated to starting with the end in mind. So what does starting with the end in mind look like? So it could, for me, this is my process. How much money do I want to earn this year? How much do I want to grow my email list, grow my community, grow my Facebook group, grow my Instagram channel, etc., etc. And I'll ask myself a few of those types of questions and put some metrics as the answers, and then I'll work backwards from there. For instance, let's take how much money I want to earn this year. Let's just say I want to earn $100,000 this year. How am I going to do that? When I look at my income streams, I need to work out how much each one of those income streams actually needs to earn in order to get me to 100K. So if I look at my income streams, for instance, they would be my 9-week marketing transformation program, obviously book sales. Now I've got a book, speaking gigs, private clients, government work. Yep. So let's just take those 5, for instance, as income streams that I have. So what does each one of those need to earn me to reach 100K? So let's just say the 9-week 9-week marketing transformation program. Let's just say I want it to bring in 25K, book sales 5K, speaking 40K, private clients 20K, and government work 10K. So that gives me $100,000. So how many people do I need to break it down further. How many people do I need to get in the course to get 25K? How am I going to market that to my community to get new people in my community, as well as the people who are already in there, to buy that particular course? How many people do I need to attract to sell a course? So if I say, for every 10 leads, I make 1 sale, then how many leads do I need? And what does the marketing look like for those leads, I should say? $20,000 from private clients. How many private clients is that? Where am I going to find these private clients? How am I going to attract them? What am I going to offer them? 5K in book sales. Now, $5,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but it's almost 240 books. Where am I going to sell those books? What does that marketing strategy look like? So I think you're starting to get the gist of what I'm doing here. I'm starting at the top and I'm working backwards. I'm starting at 100K and I'm working backwards. So before, when I said, I will sit down and plan out my socials and my marketing, this is what I'm looking at. How much marketing needs to be done to get to the income stream? So if I want to sell $25,000 worth of courses and I know that I need to attract 10 people into a funnel to sell 1, then what does that marketing look like? This is where marketing strategy becomes so important. It's just not a slap it up against the wall and hope it sticks. There is a process here. There is a procedure here. There is knowing your numbers here. So do you think that sort of process would work for you? Do you think that's the way your brain works as well? Hopefully the examples might ignite something in you and perhaps even make your goal planning a little bit simpler. This is what I mean when I talk about start with the end in mind. It's no use me saying, I want to sell 100 courses this year. Okay. What does the 100 courses look like? How on earth am I going to find 100 people to buy my course if I haven't got a marketing strategy behind it? Maybe for you, it's start with a list of all the things you need to work on in your business, no matter how small. For instance, do you need to look at your Instagram bio and update it for 2024? Do you need to see if you have any SEO on your website at all because you're thinking SEO is something I've ignored all these years, and now I need to make sure that it gets to the top of the list. Maybe it's even simpler than that, and you need to take an hour or so to clean up your clean up your desk, your workspace, and maybe start shredding that paper that is just everywhere all around your office. What do they say? Tidy desk, tidy mind. Maybe that's the place you need to start. But you need to start somewhere. And I really feel that giving yourself the opportunity to work on your business when you have time rather than in it is a great way of spending this time in January. And again, massive apologies for anyone who's in e-commerce and retail who now dislikes me immensely because you don't have time to go to the toilet and let alone do this sort of thing as well. But I really think that starting with the end in mind, looking at your goals and working backwards, all of that can really help develop a really good plan for 2024. And I hope this episode has helped you, being the first one of 2024. I absolutely love this time of the year. It just feels so clean and fresh, and I feel like I could literally do anything with my business. I feel like it's just kind of like the world is my oyster. That's the way I feel now. Yesterday, I talked about getting a job. It's like, maybe I could get a job. So anyway, we do have our ups and downs, don't we? I don't want a job. I want to run my own business. And today I feel like the world is my oyster. Of course, plans and goals do go astray though, and they do change, and that's okay. I don't want you thinking that, the goals you've written in January have to be the goals that serve you through the year. Things do chop and change. Heck, writing a book wasn't even on the goal list for 2023 for me, and yet it became one. It got done, and that was just the way it went. There were other goals, of course, that I had that I didn't do because the goal of writing the book came in. So I don't believe you should be constrained by your goals, but if you don't know what road to take, any road will do. So I'm just here to push you and challenge you to look at your goals and look at your financial goals so that you can make this year amazing. I'd love to hear from you in my Like-Minded Business Owners Facebook group about how you're feeling about the new year and around your thoughts around creating goals. There's already a few posts in there that I've done recently talking about goals. So if you're not a member of Like-Minded Business Owners, come and join it. I'd love to see you there. But otherwise, that's it for episode 276. If you loved this episode and found it valuable, then please take 30 seconds out of your day to leave me a rating and a review where you're listening, if that's possible, such as Spotify or Apple Podcast, or on my website, you could leave a comment, anything you would like to do there. Because again, just like last year, one of my goals for this podcast is to reach more people, and you can definitely help me achieve that by leaving a review. Thank you so much for that gift, that New Year's gift in advance. That's it. So I'll see you next week for episode 277. In the meantime, let's hang out on social if we're not already social on social. But remember, my small business peep, as my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
No time like the present. Tell it like you feel it, say it proud, be true, and let us see you for the star that you are. No point in dreaming small.
I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, the Yorta Yorta people, on which I record this podcast and conduct my business today, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I extend this respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here with us today as well.